This is a great opinion piece written by the Mercury News. Don't believe what Uber and Lyft claim about Proposition 22. Now, the initiative would exempt gig companies from having to comply with fundamental employment laws. This is written by Eden Alva. Thank you for this great piece. By now, you've probably seen some slick ads. I'm sure you've seen those slick TV ads for Proposition 22, paid for by Uber and other app-based companies. They hope you have, because they've been spending $181 million to tell you a story. That's what they're paying for, to tell you a story. These so-called gig companies now are waging the most expensive propaganda campaign in state history. Way bigger than big tobacco, way bigger than pharmaceuticals companies, way bigger than big oil. This is the biggest story that they're trying to sell, the biggest propaganda campaign in the state history. They've outspent all other special interests that came before them. As I mentioned, big oil, big pharma, big tobacco. They know they must spend big because it costs a lot to confuse the public about the facts. Here's the truth about Proposition 22. It is an initiative that would exempt these gig companies from having to comply with the fundamental employment laws that apply to all the other industries. Things such as minimum wage, overtime workers, compensation, unemployment insurance, access to safety equipment, and more. This is what they're trying to wiggle themselves out of, right? In case of those TV ads that you've seen, the fiction is that all drivers do the work as part-time gigs. The ads cite misleading research based on company-provided data that they have created to fool you, right? To assert that 80% of drivers work only a few hours a week, and that drivers support being independent contractors by a 4-to-1 margin. That's what they're trying to sell the Californian. Independent studies from both ends of the state tell an entirely different story. UC Santa Cruz research concluded on-demand ride-hailing and delivery work in San Francisco is performed predominantly by people for whom it is close to full-time work. A survey of Southern California drivers by UCLA found that almost half of the drivers are driving 35 hours or more a week. In addition, 55% said they would prefer to earn a set hourly wage after expenses. As a ride-hail driver for the last 6 years, I can attest that Uber and Lyft are desperate to get more work out of existing drivers by offering bonuses to drive more hours. When you try to chase those bonuses, you can fall behind. It gets very, very frustrating. One year I had 5 flat tires. I've replaced cracked windshields. All those expenses came out of my pocket. My Toyota Prius finally died recently after 275,000 miles. Proposition 22 includes promises to improve conditions for drivers, but they are empty promises. It says drivers will be paid 120% of the minimum wage, but they would be paid only for the engaged hours, the driven hours, and never for the time they spend disinfecting cars between rides, waiting for the next call, or driving back from some remote drop-off location, or filling up at a gas station. The net effect would be a sub-minimum wage. In fact, they've worked it out. It would be $5.65 per hour plus 30 cents per mile. Who would ever want to work for that? So why force drivers into that situation as a California citizen? It says drivers will be paid 30 cents a mile for expenses, but that doesn't come close to covering the actual cost. In fact, it's only about half of what the IRS allows truly independent contractors to claim. It says drivers will receive insurance coverage in the event of an on-the-job injury, but the provision caps the amount of medical expenses and limits the period for which drivers could receive disability pay. There are no such restrictions for employees covered by workers' compensation insurance. And I want Californians to know that during the pandemic, Uber and Lyft failed to pay $413 million into the system. You, the California taxpayer, you bailed them out, and we shouldn't do that again. Drivers should be classified as employees because the facts show that is exactly what they are. Courts in California have consistently held that to be the case. It is drivers like me who will lose if Proposition 22 passes. We're grateful for the support we've received from labor unions that can be counted on to speak out against exploitation, but we are mismatched against an industry that will spend whatever it takes to preserve a system that impoverishes drivers. There's a better way. They could follow the law. Please make them do that and vote no on 22. It's a great article. Thank you for sharing. At this point, I'd like to give my sponsor, Cover, a shout out. The link, ladies and gentlemen, is right beneath the video, KOVER. It's a gig protection plan. It's meant for all types of gig workers, whether you drive with Amazon Flex, Ship, Lyft, Postmates, Grubhub. This applies to you. So you have your car insurance, you have your medical insurance, and now you get yourself a comprehensive plan which starts at $7 a month to protect you from anything that can go wrong, right? They kick in and assist you. For example, if you get deactivated for some reason, get kicked off the platform, their legal arm, Legal Rideshare, sends legal letters to the gig company and immediately requests reinstatement. So you get 1 month free with my link below. Thank you for listening, California, and vote no on 22.